Let's start today's episode.
Welcome back, besties. We are here for another amazing, incredible, fun interview. And today we have the ladies of Two Moons joining us. We're so excited to jump in and talk more about seed cycling. This was one of our top podcast downloads, the episode that we did on seed cycling. So we're ready and excited to dive in a little bit more. And we've both been seed cycling for years. We love it. We are really interested in your science behind and why capsules versus seeds. So talk to us, walk us through that.
First of all, thank you so much for having us. And it's really exciting to be here. And a very good question, why capsules? So essentially, the entire idea came because we actually spent an evening at Terry's and we talked about women's health questions and concerns in general. And then we discussed PMS and what can be done about that. And I brought up the idea of seed cycling, and Terry said, that is a great thing, but how unpractical. And then Terry said at the end of the evening, how about we really come up with an idea and something to make this easier for women to use? And yeah, then we essentially had like several ideas. We were actually dabbling again in Terry's kitchen, then a couple of weeks later with making some seed bars, and we're discussing potential seed butters and we're discussing what could we do. But then we had a questionnaire with, friends, sisters, relatives, etc. And the overwhelming interest was really in capsules. And second was gummies, which is again, it's how would seeds be in a gummy, and it would be again a lot of sugar. So this is essentially where the idea with the capsules was coming from, and to really make it more convenient, to make it rememberable, to make it also easy to travel, and to have a little bit of an easier routine. There are people who don't eat breakfast, there are people who eat breakfast at certain times, or who have like different routines and just don't have time to come up with like a complex smoothie, or just eating a scoop of seeds, or putting it on a oatmeal and or salad in the morning. And this is where essentially the practicability and the idea of being aware of where you are in your cycle was coming from. That you really know, okay, Zest, that is the product that is for the follicular phase. This is where you are right now. This is like from period to ovulation, and then this is Zest. Oh, that is actually the second half of the cycle, to make that easier. Very good question again. Seed cycling, there have been a few publications on the individual seeds, like flaxseed and PMS of flaxseed and women's symptoms, or then of course the ingredients of the different seeds. Flaxseed and pumpkin seeds are in the first half, and then sesame seeds and sunflower seeds in the second half. And what these seeds contain are different electrolytes. They contain lignans, like phytoestrogens, so they can help a little bit with the natural elevation or support of estrogen or progesterone, depending on the phase, but also of clearance of estrogen because they're fiber rich. And then they contain omegas, so some fatty acids, which can be very beneficial in producing some hormones or being important for the hormonal balance. And then they contain different vitamins that are known to help, like magnesium for sleep or headaches, or vitamin E, or then also magnesium can help with breast pain, for example, and or with cramping, and can have like different electrolytes in various forms in these different formulas. And so this is essentially what we're looking into. And there are now a few publications that look at PCOS and seed cycling and shows some benefit. There are actually two publications. And we did a study last year, which has really beautiful results and shows that the majority of women really has improvement of menstruation-related cramps, of PMS symptoms, of sleep, of mood symptoms, and actually also had less sick days. And 88% of women really wanted to continue taking these capsules because they had improvement of symptoms. And so we're a little bit in like early stages in terms of research with these more integrative approaches, but it's beautiful to see how baby steps are coming up and leading to something.
Oh, we love baby steps, but I travel a ton, and the seed cycling is one of those things that I go, I can't keep this up while I'm on the road. So as soon as you said travel, I was like, oh, yes, that's perfect. Like being able to just pop it in with my vitamins and prescriptions and stuff and have it there so that I can travel with it and keep it going even when I'm on the road would be fantastic. What other circumstances, like how do you know doing the capsules is the right way for you to go versus, just trying to throw seeds into things?
I don't really like to cook. So for me, it's just pragmatism, laziness. Also, at the time that we came up with this idea, I was traveling about a third of the time for work. And it's just not practical to go through security with 4 bags of seeds all the time. And as you're shifting through time zones, there's enough changes already. It's just nice to have a regular, perfectly dosed ritual that you can take with the rest of your multivitamins or whatever it is that you take with your morning coffee. And also for people who are forgetful, we make it easy on the side of the label to mark what day you're on. So are you on day 1 through 14, 15 through 28? And we just wanted to make it convenient and realistic for modern women.
Oh yeah, so smart. And I like the idea of marking the side of the container. That's fantastic. A little innovative there.
Yeah, especially like when you're traveling, I feel like I'm always putting things in bags and moving things around. So just being able to see to know what it is would be really helpful for sure. Has there been any questions from anybody in terms of fiber? Because I feel like we've been so protein focused for so long. And now, thank goodness, we're talking more about fiber. So obviously, seeds have fiber. Has the conversation kind of come up at all about fiber in terms of taking the capsules versus the seeds? Just curious if there's been any questions or.
Good question. It didn't come from our community, but it is something that we discussed beforehand because, I mean, it is different if you either have like pre-grinded seeds or you grind them, I don't know, freshly at the beginning of the week, beginning of the month. And yes, the tablespoon has like a different fiber amount, but ours are very finely grounded, like a powdered form. So that I tried this as well. It has like this swelling ability if you put it into water. And essentially what we put into the second part, the Zen capsules, is actually some psyllium, just a teeny tiny bit, because we don't want to give too much for absorption, because psyllium is more to clear the gut rather than helping with absorption of vitamins or electrolytes, but just a little bit to really help with it. And fibers, it's a very important part. And what I was very fascinated about last year is the idea of an estrobolome, that we actually have this estrogen clearing microbiome in the gut, which is very important to actually help with clearance of excess estrogen to really make sure that there's a healthy balance. There are multiple organ systems that play a role, of course, liver function and like many different aspects, but fibers definitely help with that as well. And it's apparently very important for balancing it out and to prevent this famous estrogen dominance and to make sure that women have like a good balance of the estrogen and progesterone. So definitely, and this is something that we actually learned as well. So a minuscule number of women in our study had like a little bit of bloating, but the majority, I think only 2, but the majority actually had improvement of it, because that's the idea of with a little bit of psyllium in the seeds itself, because if you suddenly add a lot of fibers, people can be very sensitive to it. So it might be a little bit gentler on some people who are more sensitive to fibers as well.
So interesting. Makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you're going, I think it's 95% of Americans are not getting enough fiber. So if all of a sudden you're adding in a lot more fiber, you're going to feel more bloated, right? It might make your digestive system feel a little out of whack. So that makes a lot of sense to put that in there and really help not only with the fiber, but with the estrogen and helping clearing out estrogen. I really like that. That's genius, actually.
If I may add one more thing that we added to the capsules, because I think that is very important, because you asked about the difference, is we added another quite famous herb in Europe, actually. It's called Vitex or chasteberry. And it's very commonly used even in teenage girls up to perimenopause, actually, to help regulate the cycle. And it is something that is used for a long, long time. Apparently, already in Greek ancient times, it has been described. And OBGYNs use it a lot in Europe, not just integrative or holistic practitioners. My dad is an OB, so I know this word for a long time. And so we added a teeny tiny bit just in the second half to really help with the PMS symptoms of the directly before the period. And also added just a minimal amount, which has been published in multiple studies that really help with majority of PMS symptoms, and to also give the body always a little break during the follicular phase, so just add it to the luteal phase. So this is definitely something that is also different from just regular seed cycling. And here a note, it might be very helpful for women with PCOS or with endometriosis. However, it is also shown that it might worsen symptoms. So some people really need to figure this out for themselves and discuss with a healthcare provider. But I think the jury is still out for this. And some women might benefit from it, others might not. But it is a very important aspect that it's also part of our seed cycle.
Yeah, I like Vitex. I have endometriosis and I have taken it on and off for about 20 years now. And it didn't really improve the endometriosis symptoms, but it did help get my cycle more regular. So then it was much easier to go, okay, I'm going to get my period in this week. I'm going to make it a light week. So it was just easier to plan knowing, okay, my period is coming and I'm much more confident. Well, at least until I hit perimenopause. And then it was like, but for a good 20 years, I was pulsing it on and off. And yeah, it's been so helpful. We did a master class on Vitex chase tree in my period coaching school on just that one herb because it comes up so much. It's so helpful for so many things. And I was like, we need to do just a master class on this one herb.
Oh, that's great.
And
Yeah.
the mood benefits. Somebody who, for me, my primary PMS symptom are the mood swings. And I find that Vitex is so helpful in regulating those.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So, how did you two get into this work in the first place, like into menstrual work and women's health?
Well, Ulrika is a doctor, so she sees a lot of women in her practice. Her specialty is multiple sclerosis, which affects more women. For me, this was a very, very unexpected detour. I started out the first 18 years of my career as a lawyer, first as a corporate lawyer, then an entertainment lawyer. And I was raised in this very linear productivity environment, right? Where you're expected to constantly push harder, do more, to be constantly available. And I really found that I struggled through both the luteal and menstrual phases and would try to make up for it in the follicular and ovulatory phases, right? Every month. And during the pandemic, I felt like there was some sort of energetic awakening, not just for me, but for other women who all of a sudden were liberated from the confines of a traditional workplace, and we're all working remotely, and just being able to regulate how you use your energy while you're remote has brought about, I think, a movement of cycle awareness. There are a lot of women all around the world who are much more in touch with their bodies than they were before the pandemic. I want to reframe the cycle as something where you can, if you harness it, it actually helps you achieve your ambition. It helps you harness your energy. And once you see rhythm as intelligence, you can't unsee it. So yeah, I feel like we've been preaching this and teaching this for years, honestly. And you're right, the freedom of not having to go into an office, especially Stasha has shared so many different stories with me of working with endometriosis and clients of mine just being so fatigued and exhausted, or you just don't feel comfortable the day before your period, sometimes wanting to leave the house, and you're having to go, maybe show up in court, do a work presentation, and it really does alter what happens after that. Like it really does. So I feel like I love that you also felt that in a different career than what we were experiencing before that. But like just seeing all of that come together is really interesting. Did you also notice that with your work with treating women with MS? I'm just curious, like, how is it going with their periods with MS? Does it change? Because I have two cousins with MS and they're at very different stages. And I should ask this question to them, but I'm just curious, like, if that with having MS, does that affect their cycle periods at all, or not really? I'm just curious.
Not so much from what I see. There are some studies that actually say there might be a little bit of difficulty with fertility, but I have a lot of pregnant patients or patients who are moms. And the interesting thing is pregnancy is protective, and there are much less relapses and symptoms during pregnancy. It can increase afterwards again, but this is what we see with some autoimmune conditions. So there seems to be this immune protective state during pregnancy, which then goes back to the prior heightened state. And this is also very interesting for us because this is a thought, what is the neuroprotective aspect of all this? The other thing that I think is very interesting is there's something like neurohormonology to a certain degree, because I sometimes see patients who come for MS symptoms, but I wonder if it's actually more period related and hormonal. And I think there's a lot of neurotransition states in PMS and perimenopause. So that's a very interesting other aspect that affects the nervous system.
I have a client and actually a period coaching school graduate now who has MS and PMDD. And she originally came because of the PMDD. And we had her on progesterone as part of the PMDD protocol. And she said that it seemed to be helping the MS as well. And she's on a very specific MS diet and everything, which I didn't want to mess with, obviously. But we did change up some of the foods just to help improve the hormonal balance. And so she was on a lower dose of progesterone by the time we were done. But she was still taking it because she found it really settled things. Like even the MS seemed to calm down and she didn't have as many flares and things. So it was really quite an interesting journey because I didn't know anything about MS. So we were, she was educating me as I was educating her. It was a real fun experience.
Thank you for sharing this. It's literally, I read up on this last night again, because it's so fascinating. We think that progesterone has a little bit of a neuroprotective effect. We always say estriol or estrogen has it, but progesterone does it probably to a certain degree with myelin. So it protects the myelin. It's something very interesting that we need to look further into.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about working in this field now?
I think being a witness to this cultural shift that's happening at such an exciting time. Women are really stepping into their own confidence. They're shedding shame. And hormonal health isn't about restriction. It's really about just developing infrastructure that stabilizes one's foundation so you can expand creatively with leadership, with your social relationships. I think of it as expansive instead of a restrictive protocol. Sorry, there's a small dog that is nipping at me right now. So that's what's happening over here. Let's see the doggy.
Yeah. Oh, super cute.
Yeah. Oh, hi. He's feeling left out of the podcast.
That's so cute. You know what? In adjacent to that, and I want to hear from both of you on this, but also what's your favorite thing about this? But I'm also curious if I've written books on how to run a business with your cycle, Bloody Brilliant Business. But I'm curious if you're integrating anything of your cycle now into your business as well. So I'm sorry, I just kind of like, as you were talking about that, I was like, oh, I also need to know if they're doing anything. So
I would say that it's all voluntary in terms of with some of our staff. We have a very small staff, but we'll say, oh, I'm in my Zest or I'm in my Zen, because our products are named for the days. So Zest is 1 through 14 and Zen is day 15 through 28. And it's just sort of a fun, voluntary way. Nobody's forced to disclose where they are in their cycle, but if they feel like it helps their colleagues understand them a little better, we encourage that. And I also think that it's interesting to map your personal energetic rhythms by the weeks, right? So menstrual for me personally, I think it's great for strategy, clarity, boundaries, essay writing. Luteal is good for admin and editing, like the little nitty gritty, and follicular and ovulatory probably for pitching, events, biz development, and creating content. And so, yeah, I think it's nice to all be able to speak about it openly and then convey your energy level so your team knows what to expect from you.
How is it being a doctor with a cycle, working with patients? I'm sure it's a little different. Hi, I'm Katie from Katie Brussack Wellness. I create personalized programs to support your hormones with diet and lifestyle shifts. Within a month, my clients see drastic improvements with their energy, sleep, stress, and cravings. Within 3 months, most of my clients feel like themselves again, with symptoms reduced by 80% or more. Whether you're missing your period, dealing with PMS, hot flashes, rage, and/or supporting your body for pregnancy or postpartum, I'm here to support you. Schedule a free discovery call with me today. Excited to chat with you soon.
Yeah, I thought about this a few times whenever we have these discussions. Also during residency, I mean, you just do a 24-hour shift or you do like night shifts. And I think I never thought about it. I've always been quite lucky with all this, but you have to just push through. I mean, I still come to office or hospital every day and I cannot schedule around that. If I can mindful maybe with a lecture, or then I'm thankful, but overall, it's nothing that we can do yet because the schedule is just made and that's what it is. But I think it will be interesting in the future. And as medicine probably will change and we will have more integrated of other aspects, maybe there will be more freedom for women.
I hope so, because I feel like I don't even know how anybody can work 24 hours at a time. I just don't even get it. Like, I personally don't think I could do it. I would be passing out, falling asleep on the floor. Like, it just seems really challenging. I mean, my first kind of look at that was Grey's Anatomy back in the day with the residency. It's like, what? They can't go home.
I think one runs on so much adrenaline and just like, okay, you don't think about anything else. But then again, what does it do to the female anatomy and to the female body?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the one we really wanted to talk to both of you about, how are you taking care of your health, right? And it might shift and change based on where you are in your career, because now you're not doing residency and you're not a lawyer. But what's your non-negotiables with your own health as you're creating this women's health business? How are you taking care of yourself?
So I think the mental aspect is really important. And so I start off every morning. I do about 10 minutes of meditation, affirmations every day, get morning light within the first 30 minutes. I have to walk my dog. And so he helps me regulate. And I'd say I track my cycle, obviously. I use an Aura ring and low impact workouts. So I used to, in my 30s, I used to run half marathons or do, HIIT workouts. And then I realized it was just increasing my cortisol and making me even more stressed. So now these days it's more swimming, yoga, Pilates, walking, very, very gentle, low impact workouts. And I used to be guilty of skipping breakfast for about 2 decades of my life. And I've recently, since working in wellness, come back to eating breakfast, and that makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. Breakfast, very important. My parents always made a point and integrate the seed cycling with that. I drink teas based on the cycle that I think are very helpful and nice. I try to drink a warm lemon water first thing in the morning. If there's a moment, I try to do a 5-minute meditation with a red light somewhere behind my shoulders, and ideally some either yoga or Tai Chi movements or whatever in the morning, but need to get better. And I try to go for walks. So these are the things I really try. And now what I try to remind myself, I get up between patients, but maybe do some movement for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, once an hour to really remind the body to not sit all the time.
What teas are you doing for your cycle? I'm curious.
I have a really nice tea brand that has very good teas, like a detox tea, and then one that is more for a follicular phase, one that is more for luteal phase, and one that is more of a period tea. And I like drinking a lot of tea. So this is kind of like I have it here right now. That is a thing I do even nice. I don't even think about it. And yeah, I essentially have them even here in the office. So I do them just every day and afternoon.
This is holy basil, which I think is really good for the luteal phase personally. But
yeah, I love holy basil. It's so awesome. I'm curious with the seed cycling capsules, what have you two noticed in your own health and your own cycle by using them?
For me, I really struggled with mood and PMDD actually. And I tried the usual pharmaceutical remedies in the past, right? So both hormonal birth control and antidepressants, and they really didn't work for me or came with side effects. And for me, I feel like our capsules has really been a big help for the mood aspect, although of course it requires actions as well, right? So there's the exercise, there's the meditations, the affirmations. It's not capsules alone, but it's really been such a support. And also just being able to remember what week I'm in, because I would never be able to remember in the past if I was in the follicular phase, luteal phase. And so I wouldn't be able to plan my life in a way to preemptively account for how I'm going to feel. And then the other thing is that it really helped to regulate the number of days in my cycle. And that's been true for a number of our customers. I've really reported that it really gets you much closer to 28 days. If you have an irregular cycle, it makes it much more predictable. And for some people who are trying to get pregnant that helps them figure out when they're ovulating. And we've actually been happy I know of 7 pregnancies that were reported to me by people who subscribe to our product. So, or were gifted our product. So we know that it is helping to regulate.
Same, the cycle regularity. I always had a regular one, but now it's really looking at it, it's like, nice, okay, it's always 14 days, follicular, and then there are subtle things. I think I'm very much in tune with my body, but sometimes brushing off things where one thinks, okay, it's just what it is, such as just breasts. It runs in my family. I have much less breast pain or none at all, actually. Absolutely no period pain, none. I mean, I feel it, but none. And yeah, just happy gut. And sleep is mostly better too.
Oh, we all need better quality sleep. So that's awesome to hear. What's your favorite hormonal tip then for anybody and everyone listening? What do you think is your favorite tip? Besides, obviously, your capsules.
Going to bed 1 hour earlier than you have in the past. I think as women approach perimenopause, that extra bit of sleep seems to be helpful.
Absolutely good point. Yeah, I would agree with that. The cortisol and stress reduction, very important. And I think part of this is probably also really have a breakfast. And I know you said this, there's so much focus always on the protein, but just have a healthy, balanced breakfast, probably also with some fibers.
Yeah, I love the going to sleep earlier. One of my sons had his tonsils out last week, so we've been sleeping in the same bed so I can watch him. And I've been going to bed really early and I love it. And I'm really, really going to challenge myself to continue to do that. I don't know if I can keep going to bed at 8 o'clock, but it's been feeling great. I just, left all the dishes in the sink and I'll worry about them another time. But I really did feel a bit of a difference. So I'm in perimenopause. I'm going to be 47 and I'm definitely needing more and more sleep. So going to bed at 8 actually does help me. It just doesn't help with other areas of my life, but I might just try to keep up with it.
Yeah, at sames. Well, I've been traveling and we just pulled in last night from Florida. So we were 3 days on the road driving my parents back here to be here with us. And I went to bed at 8 last night. I was asleep by 8:30. My little sleep tracking app was like, you slept. I woke up at 6:30. So it was like, you got 10 hours of sleep last night. Well done. And I was like, woohoo. We could do that every night. And actually, the day I flew there, I did the same thing. I went to bed really early and I slept for 11 hours. And I was just like, oh my God, can I just get 10 hours of sleep every night? This has been fantastic. So I definitely love my sleep, but I am very happy to be home. It was nice to be able to get a good night's sleep and then actually get up and have a really good breakfast this morning.
Life changing. Want to ask both of you, in women's health space, where do you see the future going? I know we've been talking a little bit about that, but where do you see the future of women's health?
Where I would like it to go, I feel like there's been a lot of kind of pressure and responsibility put on individual women to moderate or kind of modulate their routines and do this and do that. But I also think there's a social responsibility, there's a societal responsibility. I think that there needs to be more education earlier on in the high schools and at the college level about just the basics of hormonal health, and also normal conditions such as PCOS, endometriosis, PMDD. These are not uncommon, they're quite common. And oftentimes women don't know that they even exist until they're diagnosed with them, right? And so I think there's a social responsibility to make that education stigmatized and prevalent.
Yes.
And more research, more knowledge, more integration of really women's health in everything, because I think it could benefit cardiology, it can benefit GI, it can benefit, of course, neurology. There's so many aspects where, again, the women's health part plays in.
Yeah.
And actually, I want to ask you while we still have you here and just a brilliant doctor, if there's any other science or data or anything that you would like to share with us on women's health cycles. I know this is a super ginormous question, but if you could scan that giant brain of yours for maybe some exciting news that's come out recently or just something that you think would be important for our listeners to know, I'm just a giant nerd, and I it's my opportunity to pick your brain, so I want to pick it.
Very good question. Probably not so new. And I mentioned the Estrobolome, which I think is super fascinating. And I think there's so much more to learn about progesterone and estrogen balance and when it's out of balance, when it needs to be supported, and what it actually means. Is there an estrogen excess? Does it even exist? Or is that existent in certain women? The other thing that I think is quite fascinating is the idea that women actually live longer, but have not as high quality life later on because they have more diseases. And one of them is, of course, memory changes, dementia, Alzheimer's. We see this more in women, and we think it's a disease of midlife. And there is this idea, you probably have heard of her and her research, Lisa Mosconi, looking into estrogen receptors via PET scans. And it's very interesting how the brain changes throughout women in their 40s, but then also adapts and normalizes again to estrogen and like receptor, but particularly volume, and how much a healthy adaptation adjustment in this time might be beneficial for later, meaning probably really healthy nutrition, exercise, sleep. But the jury is still a little bit out there. I don't want to speak too much, is of course is estrogen beneficial for the memory part or not? I think this is something that we also need to learn.
Yeah, I've been really reading on how essentially moving through perimenopause, your brain is going through like estrogen withdrawal and rewiring to deal with the lack of estrogen. And then theoretically, you come out into menopause and your brain has rewired or restructured to live without that estrogen. But would adding in some estrogen through perimenopause maybe help ease that brain fog and memory loss and short-term memory issues in perimenopause? Would it help prevent perhaps dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that from hitting? I'm utterly fascinated by it.
It's so interesting what the brain actually does. It changes each cycle. So there are really brain parts that kind of expand and like reduce again or change structure based on the cycle part. So women's brain changes every month. Then it changes throughout, of course, puberty. It changes throughout pregnancy. And then it changes throughout perimenopause again. And I think this is also quite fascinating to learn about this and understand better why women have, as Terry says so beautifully, this cyclical brain, what can be used. And then we actually have a structural anatomical background to all this, what we see in a physiological and active way as the person presents.
Yeah, one of the things I came across when I was trying to figure out how to run my business with endometriosis was the fact that the brain changed throughout the cycle. And then you could see how progesterone was creating more vivid dreams, more vivid memories of your dreams, more color, that kind of thing, which to me translated to visual spatial awareness. So I was like, okay, well, what if I just start doing my graphics and video editing and stuff when I'm in my luteal phase, and then I'll do my strategy and verbal skills peak with your estrogen, right? So it's like, well, then follicular phase should be when I'm recording and writing and copy editing and stuff. And that was really the very beginning of working with my cycle. And then it turned into your business, your flow program and the Bloody Brilliant Business book because it worked so well that I was getting more done in a month than I had ever been able to get done before. And I was taking a full week off for my period because I was done. Like I was done with everything that I had on my agenda and I had put like more things on there but I was still done. And I was like, I could really just kind of take this week off or like edit in bed or something. But it blew my mind how much more I was able to get done as soon as I just flipped my work to go with my cycle. And I know a lot of it was me just going like, well, I don't know, it does this, so seems like it would work. It was a lot of guesswork, but it did seem to work.
Yeah, no, you said exact. I mean, this is so fascinating. It's probably neurotransmitters, then there are pathways that change. There's better interconnectivity, and there's probably really some brain areas that are changing sizes. I mean, so much to learn. And don't get me started. Lithium is another very interesting one in this entire bucket list. So there are a lot of things.
I mean, I would love to get you started.
I know, like talk to us more. No, it's so fascinating because my my grandma had dementia, but she didn't get it until she was like 90. She lived to be 97. But I'm starting to see my mom start repeating herself. And I'm like, what can I do? Because I know what you do in your 40s dictates the next 3 decades, right? So what you mentioned about having less of a quality of life, I'm really working every day to make sure that I do have a quality of life, because I think that is obviously so valuable. But what you said really kind of hit home.
It was one of the reasons that I got onto seed cycling in the first place was because the Vitex had really helped regulate my cycle, but the seed cycling, I thought this is probably something that's going to help with symptoms moving into perimenopause symptoms. So it was in my early 30s, maybe mid 30s. I forget exactly when I was like, I need to start doing some seed cycling. And it was kind of on and off. But by my late 30s, 40, I was like, okay, we got to do this like for realsies now. So
Yeah, we're like
I
on
was,
it.
yeah, I was like, we got to do this now. So yeah, aside from when I travel, I've been quite good at doing the seed cycling. And part of it is that I don't know, but I feel like this could potentially help with postmenopause to feel better. And then that also kind of occurred to me as you're moving through perimenopause and you're switching from seed cycling or eating with your cycle to eating with the moon cycles, to taking your seeds with the moon cycles as you go 40 days or 60 days between periods and you're not really ovulating anymore. So I was like, okay, at some point I'm going to have to flip to the moon cycle, which then wouldn't you just keep doing it postmenopausally? Because it's still good for you. It's still good micronutrients, fiber, all those things. It's still protective and helpful for you. We should be eating more seeds in our diet, something Americans just don't do that other countries do a lot better than us. And I just thought, I just don't see any reason to stop doing this if, oh, I don't have any symptoms anymore. I don't need it. And I was like, no, but that's also preventing it. So I don't know. It was just something that, like, as I'm moving more into perimenopause, I keep thinking, I don't think I am going to stop this. I think I'm just keep doing it and just move over to that moon cycle and then just stick with it postmenopausal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is what some people do or recommend even. Indeed, totally.
Okay, is there anything else we want to touch on before we move into our speed lightning round?
I would just love for you ladies to share where people can purchase and learn more and read case studies and get just more information.
Absolutely. The easiest way is to go to our website, which is twomoonshealth.co, C-O, twomoonshealth.co, and two is spelled out, T-O. And you can also check out our Instagram, which is at twomoonshealth. And our website, in addition to being able to purchase our product, we have an online blog that has a lot of articles about beauty and health, leadership, and cyclical productivity that we think are relevant for our readers. And in addition, we have a little freebie on our website. If you just go to our main page and the drop down, you can scroll down to the hormonal health guide. And then if you enter your email, we'll send you a 30-page hormonal health guide electronically. And that covers nutrition, fitness, lifestyle changes for different phases of a month.
All right, fantastic. So we want to hear from both of you for these little lightning rounds. Maybe we'll start with Terry since that seems to be the mode so far. We'll just stick with what's working. Number one, what's your favorite junk food?
Oh, Reese's Pieces.
Oh,
Julie doesn't take junk food.
We've stumped you already.
does this need to be some candy or would pizza count? But it's not junk food sometimes if you pizza.
What's your favorite TV series?
To say White Lotus is quite good. I don't know if I like any of the characters in there, but I think the writing is excellent and it's very funny.
I liked Sherlock.
The one on Netflix?
Yes, I don't have a TV.
Yeah, no, neither do we. But yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah.
What's a household item that you can't live without?
I don't know if I could, I'm pretty minimalist, so I could probably live without most things, but I do like my Nespresso machine in the morning. And I think having a humidifier and a sound machine are good for sleep. So
Good question. I think my little swirl for luxury for making tea.
I love it. Do you take naps?
yes.
No, mostly.
Last one is, what's your favorite vacation spot?
I think Bali is a very special place. Yeah.
Italy.
Oh, both amazing. The food, oh, I
Yeah,
love
I'd
it.
go to either one. You just
Yes.
tell me to meet you there and I'll be like, I'll see you. Just give me 10 minutes to throw some flip-flops and a bikini in a backpack and I will be there.
Yes. I love it. Thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing about your journey and the seed cycling capsules. We're really curious and interested in that, and so excited for you to come on and share more of the research and the data and how it's really improving women's lives. That's why we're all here and why we're so passionate about what we do. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for all our listeners. Go to their website, check out all their research and get your hormone guide. And thank you everybody for joining us today. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
A big shout out and thank you to our sponsors for today's episode, Period Coaching School and Katie Bresek Wellness.
Thanks to you, our favorite bestie, for listening to the Period Besties Podcast, where no topic is TMI. And of course, share this episode with your besties.
Remember to leave us a 5-star review, nothing less than the best for us besties, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can follow us on Instagram at Stasha Washburn and at Katie Bresak, or email us at periodbestiespodcast@gmail.com.
Check out more about us at katiebresak.com and periodcoachingschool.com. And of course, check the show notes for free goodies and extras that support this episode.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye for now, besties.